My name is Allie, and welcome to Funny Fat Friend, a podcast about this bodacious biracial babe trying to find herself in film. I'm still alone, and I just finished the fourth film in the Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn Part 1, and I'm fucking furious and disturbed by it. So we're just gonna jump into it, and we're gonna skip the budget stuff right off the top because I don't care. I need to talk about this movie. Alright, so it opens. We have the bloody summit logo, neat, good job. Then it turns into like a normal day. I don't know. We get Bella with another voiceover, which I don't understand why they don't just quit, but okay. We get her saying some quote. It says, "Childhood is the kingdom where nobody dies." So I guess that is supposed to be foreshadowing. Okay. I have to calm down. Alright. So, yes, we have a rainy day, and we see Jacob, who throws down something on the ground as he leaves his house and jumps into his wolf form and runs away. And his dad, Billy, comes out and is like, "Jacob!" And then we see a zoom in on what he threw down, and it's the wedding invitation for Bella and Edward's wedding. Angst. Then we see Charlie is sitting, and he's also reading the invitation, which is very weird, I think. I guess I never thought about, like, you give invitations to the people you live with. But, okay. I hope she put it in the mail. Really use that stamp. The Postal Service needs our help. Buy a book of stamps. Okay. And then her mom gets one, and she's excited. Her mom has no character development, is what I realized in this movie. She's nobody. But she's really excited for their wedding. And then we see Bella trying to walk in high heels that are really high. Alice is like, "Oh, you just need to break them in." And she's like, "I've been breaking them in for 3 days." I'm like, you've never worn heels before. You cannot expect to just nail it that quickly, but okay. And we also find out that their wedding is tomorrow. So I don't know what the timing is of any of the moments we've seen immediately before this. Did everybody get their wedding invitation the day before the wedding? And at the end of the last movie, wasn't it? It was like the beginning of summer and they were getting married in August. That's only 2 months. So stressful. How did she get a wedding dress made? How did they get all of everything? But okay, sure. They're having it at the Cullens' house. They get it all set up there. She goes back to her house. There's a little puff of wind, and it's Edward, because I guess he moves so fast. And he has his own gust of wind that accompanies him. Also, everybody has gotten a haircut. I guess it was haircut time. But everybody has a haircut in this movie. Everybody decided, I guess, like June 15th or something. Everybody get a haircut. Maybe they also just got out of quarantine and are allowed to get haircuts now. But that is something that bothered me. Everybody got a haircut. But Edward is telling her that he needs to tell her something, that she doesn't know everything about him the day before their wedding. He's like, "I gotta tell you something. I'm a vampire." That would have been really good. If he had never... I guess he's never explicitly said that he is a vampire. Like in the first one, yeah, he made her say it. So, that cracked me up. It's not very funny, I don't think, but you're welcome. Yeah. So he says he has something he needs to tell her. And we get this nice little flashback of Edward when he was a new little vampire. He apparently left Carlisle. He rebelled against him and went out on his own. And he wanted to know what it was like to hunt. And so he murdered a bunch of creepy men murderers. So he's a bad guy. I guess kinda, yeah, you shouldn't murder people, even if they murder other people. But I guess it was important, and he was hoping that it would make Bella change her mind about becoming a vampire, and it didn't. Nothing has worked. But yeah, he murders a guy who kinda looked like Benedict Cumberbatch. I wrote down that he looked like a Benedict Cumberbatch knockoff. But it doesn't work to make her not want to be a vampire. So Edward's boys show up to take him to his bachelor party. I'd like to see that movie. That's the movie they should have made instead. I would like to see The Hangover, but it's vampires. I guess that's kind of like What We Do in the Shadows. That's pretty close. So I'm right. That's a better movie. Everybody watch that movie. Maybe I'll do that movie. It's really good. Okay, so he goes off on his bachelor party, and she falls asleep and has a dream of the wedding. And she's walking down the aisle with all these rose petals. It's very beautiful. But when she gets to the altar, the Volturi are standing there. And then she turns around and all of her family are in a massive pile of dead bodies. And there's blood everywhere. So that's scary. It's pretty scary. And she gets up the next day and Alice is like, I told you to get beauty sleep. And she does her makeup, and Rosalie. Her name's Rosalie. I called her Rosalind in the last movie. I've called her Rosalind in my mind, always. But apparently her name is Rosalie, the blonde vampire. I guess they're all blonde. Most of them are blonde. The one that got a backstory finally in the last one, and is a nice person. She does her hair, then her parents show up. Yeah, her mom is very one-dimensional. Like, Charlie notices their art that is just like all their graduation caps, and he's like, are these graduation caps? And her mom is just like, that's so fun, and walks away. And then comes in to see Bella, and it's like, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh no, my mascara is gonna run. And it's like, you didn't think you were gonna cry at your daughter's wedding? You wore mascara that would run? Or maybe that's a power move. You want everybody to see how much you're crying. That's kind of fun. And then Alice won't let Bella hug her mom because she's afraid it'll smudge her makeup. There are a lot of little, very degrading, like rude things that are like pointed out, and I don't like that. It's like, but okay. Then we have her and Charlie are standing together, getting ready to walk down the aisle, and he says that he'll never let her fall, which is so sweet. Charlie is infinitely better of a character and person than anyone else. It doesn't make any sense. Her dad is so nice. What happened? Anyway, they like walk down the aisle and she's wearing those high heels and it's grass. That's the most unbelievable part of this entire series that's to this point, is that a homegirl would wear 4-inch heels through grass. That's idiotic. That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't even have one of those little pedals on it, that makes it so you can walk. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You can get a little pedal thing for your heels so you can walk on stuff. But, anyway, it's beautiful. And it did... Alright, I got emotional. It did make me feel something. I got cold chills because they started playing the Flightless Bird American Mouth song by Iron and Wine, which was playing when they were in that little gazebo in the first movie at the end. And it was just... The music director, the music is really good in this one as well. It's not as strong as Eclipse. I think Eclipse had better, choices music-wise, but the music direction was really good in this one. It was really smart. It was very manipulative, but that's what it should be. Make you feel. So that was really good. I will give them that. That might be the only compliment I give. But okay, they get married. It doesn't make sense. They're standing at the altar together. There is a minister or an officiant, and they start to speak, and then we can't hear anything. Then Edward and Bella are just talking to each other, having a conversation, and the sound mixing was really bad. I couldn't hear what they were saying, and I also didn't care enough to rewind and turn it up. So, I don't know what they said. Maybe it was the best thing that's ever been written, and it would have made me feel better about the entire movie, and that's my fault for not rewinding it. But I didn't. And then they start making out, and I guess that's fine, because everybody's like, yay, and start to clap. But then it does the thing of they're kissing and the camera pans around them and everyone is gone. Everyone has disappeared. Like in How Stella Got Her Groove Back when everyone disappeared. And I don't know if you can hear me waving my hands around, but I'm excitedly waving my hands around. How did this trope become a thing? I guess it's like the whole world goes away because you're so in love. I don't know. Somebody tell me if that's what it is. If I've never had that experience of being in a crowd of people and feeling like they all disappear from around me. Okay, yay, wedding, it's fun. And everybody's having fun. We're also like introduced to Sue. I don't know if she was in the other movies, but she is part of the native community there. And she and Charlie have a vibe between them. Maybe they're in love, I don't know, but there's like a moment of little like they have chemistry, and so that's kind of exciting. Yay, I want Charlie to be happy. We also have her friends from school are like standing around the cake, and it's massive, and they kind of make jokes about that, and so that's like ha ha ha, how did they do that, and why did they make such a big cake? Comedy is high quality in the series. Edward's cousins from Alaska are there, which I think maybe that's gonna matter later. It didn't matter in this movie after they say that, and we find out that, like, Laurent had joined them, and they were upset. One of them was upset because she was in love with him, and the wolves killed him, and one of the wolves was there, Seth was there, and so she got upset. So I think maybe that will come back, I guess, in the next movie, because it didn't come back in this one. But they're all really hot also. Everybody who's a vampire is hot. I guess that's just what happens. You just become really, like, hot. And pale. Then everyone gives a toast. Like, everyone. Every person at the wedding gives a toast. We have a weird montage of toasts. This is also where the theme of montages to sum up stuff happens. This is going to be a recurring theme. I would like someone to count how many times I have to say there's a montage, because it's insane. Maybe I will. I'll do it while I'm editing if I remember. Hey Allie, while you're editing, remember to count how many times I say there's a montage. Okay, thank you, future Allie. So yeah, everybody at the wedding gives a fucking toast. And none of them are good. None of them are interesting. They're all only like half sentences because they have so many people they put in. I guess maybe in the book they talk. I gotta stop wondering about the book, because even if it's in the book, this was a bad choice. So then she's just like sitting around. Edward even gives a toast, which is very weird. And he's like, alright, I want to spend time with you. Let's start with forever. How's that? It was cheesy and dumb. And then he's like, oh, your final wedding gift just arrived, and he takes her outside, and it's Jacob in like a button up and some jeans, which is such a big mood. I'm into it. And he's got a little bit of facial hair because he's been like running around as a wolf with no access to a razor, I assume. But it's not very much facial hair, but if it was just one day from the amount of time, it's so ambiguous. I don't know how long it was from when he got the invitation to when the wedding was, but it was long enough to grow a little bit of a mustache, so whatever that means is how long it was. So him and Bella see each other, and she's really happy. And he's like, well, it's nice to see you, alive for the last time. And she's like, oh, this isn't my last night alive. And then he gets really angry, and I was really confused. And he was like, you're going to go on your honeymoon as a human? Are you serious? He's going to kill you. And then I remembered, oh yeah, like, even kissing would make him freak out in the first one. So I guess he assumes, and then everybody assumes, that he's just gonna murder her if they fuck. And Jacob gets really angry and wants to kill Edward, and then the other wolves show up and are like, whoa, 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 Jacob, nah, we ain't gonna murder him. And he's like, we can't let this happen. And they're just like, it's not our problem anymore. She can do whatever she wants. So that's great. And then Jacob runs off all mad again. And they go back to the wedding. And then she has another costume change into a smaller wedding dress, I guess. And they go to leave for their honeymoon. She doesn't know where they're going for their honeymoon. He hasn't told her, and nobody knows. She talks to her mom, who says nothing important or of note at all. And then she talks to Charlie, and he is sad. It makes me sad. And then they get in the car, and she visibly looks unhappy and melancholy as they drive away. They get on an airplane, and she's sad. Oh yeah, you hear like all the wolves howling, and it sounds sad. There's a lot of sad. How many times am I going to say sad? And they get to Rio, and you can tell it's Rio because there's the Jesus statue that is very famous. And they like pull over at one point and go out into like a street festival and dance a little bit, and they're very white, and it's very weird and a very unnecessary scene because it turns out they're not even honeymooning in Rio. They then get on a boat and drive to an island, and it's Esme Island. And Edward's like, yeah, it's Carlisle's island. It was given to him as a gift. So many what? Who has the power, one, to give someone an island as a gift? What did he do that prompted someone giving him an entire island as a gift? I want to know a lot more. I think it would probably be very interesting to follow Carlisle's path. Yeah, that's way more interesting. What are all the things he's done? I want to know that. This is dumb. Edward and Bella are nothing. I want to watch the story of how somebody got gifted an island. That's way cooler. But, okay, so they're on this island, and there's like a house built, and it's all glass. The door made me spit my water out a little bit because it confused me, because it's like all the walls are glass, and he is just carrying her and walks up against the glass wall, and it just turns into a door. It like just starts to move and turn. So they're in the bungalow, and she's not tired yet. Oh yeah. Edward's like, well, let's go for a swim. And he starts to go, and so she's like, I gotta do some human stuff. And she runs into the bathroom, and we get guess what? Another montage of her, like, trying to get ready for sex. I guess she splashes water on her arms and brushes her teeth. She shaves her legs, which I assume she probably already had shaved her legs before the wedding, but I guess not. Everybody can forget. It's okay, whatever. And also, I doubt he cares, but whatever makes you feel good. And she opens up her suitcase, and Alice packed it, and it's just like all lingerie, which is also pretty messed up because, like, if everybody was concerned he was gonna murder her if he fucked her, like, what the fuck? But okay, I guess it's comedy. And she ultimately decides to just walk to the beach in nothing but a towel, and she drops it, and she's naked and walks into the ocean where Edward already is. The shot of them talking to each other while in the water is really uncomfortable. It's very, like, unnatural the way it looks. It's supposed to be, I guess they're, like, moonlit, but it just looks like a pool light is hitting them while they're in a pool, which is probably what it was. And then they start making out and go to the bed. He, like, grabs the windowsill that's, like, behind the bed and smashes it with his strength. And that's so scary. And he smashes it so hard that somehow the canopy of the bed collapses. Like the wood canopy. That didn't make any sense. But, okay. So that collapses around them. And she just like laughs and is like, it's okay. And then it like fades to black, and then it's the next day, and she's like laying in this euphoric bliss as she wakes up, and there's like feathers floating around her. And then we get the whole wide shot of the room, and everything is destroyed. So like, I think leaving it to imagination is definitely worse than what probably was like, oh my god, that's so scary. That's really disturbing. And then we get, surprise, another montage that's like flashbacks and close-ups of like the night before, and her like thinking about the night before and like looking at herself and thinking about it and all this. And I guess it's supposed to be sexy, but it's mainly just confusing and everything is too close. But I guess that's also like sex. Okay, that adds up. Never mind. Maybe it was good cinematography. Accurate. And then Edward comes into the room, and then we see like multiple bruises on her body, and it's uncomfortable. That's really uncomfortable. And she's like, why do you want to ruin this moment? Ugh, and gets really upset with him for him being upset for hurting her. I think that sends a really negative message. I think that's very bad, and I really don't like it, and that's not okay. So yeah, if you are ever in a situation where you are uncomfortable or have been hurt by your partner, you can reach out for help, and you don't need to blame yourself or be upset at being hurt. Yikes, come on. Twilight Saga, jeez Louise. The level of there's a lot of abuse and emotional damage in these movies. I don't know, have they ever answered for it? They probably should answer for it. Yeah, it felt like they needed to have like a disclaimer, like maybe they did in the credits about like maybe an abuse hotline or something you can call, like bare minimum, like do something like that, you know? But I don't know, it's just my opinion. Oh, jeez. Then he's like, I don't want to do that again. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna touch me again, am I right? And then he just like kind of doesn't say anything. And then we get another montage of like, I guess the next several days of them just like playing chess and swimming around and stuff, and not banging. They're just not having sex. That's the point. And she keeps wearing all her little lingerie and stuff, and she just wants to have sex so bad, and he's not doing it. And then she has a dream about her beating him in chess, and they start to have sex, and then she wakes up and she's crying, and he's like, oh no, what's wrong? And she's like, I was dreaming and I wanted it to be real. And she's like, please, just please. At this point, it's only been like a few days, right? They've only been together a few days as a married couple, and she wants to have sex with him so bad that she cries. Oh, geez. How did they survive? It's just like entirely unbelievable. They haven't had sex for their entire relationship. Like, it's not like you have sex for the first time and then like collapse into crying when you can't do it after a few days. This is a really bad message to send. But okay. Sure. So I think they have sex. I don't know. It's not really explicit at that point. They start making out, so maybe. I don't know. But the next day, he leaves her a note because he needs to go hunt. And so she makes herself some breakfast, which is an entire chicken. She cooks a whole chicken. And she's eating it and is looking at it because it's a little too raw for sure. And she runs and throws up. Edward is like, whoa, are you sick? And she's like, oh yeah, it must be like the chicken. And then she's looking at her calendar and she's like, wait, how long have we been here? And he's like, 14 days. So I guess it's been 14 days. So yeah, I can't go without having sex for 14 days, you guys, or you will have a complete emotional breakdown. And so she's like, I'm late. My period is late. And then she looks in the mirror and touches her completely normal stomach and is like, is this possible? And then Edward gets a phone call, because I guess they have cell service on this island. Good for Carlisle, got a cell tower on his island. And it's Alice, and she's like, what's happening? What's wrong? And Edward is in like shock and says nothing. And Bella's like, is this possible? And Carlisle gets on the phone and he's like, what? You guys need to come home. And at this point, also, people have come like to clean. There's been like a cleaner came, because I was wondering about that when they got there. I was like, everything is really nice. It's not like covered in layers of dust. So how did, I guess, cleaners ride a boat over and clean? But no, there's like a native people that live on this island that Carlisle owns. Oh no, that's bad. That's bad to think about. Colonialism. Jeez. Okay. So now I'm thinking about that. But one of the women who came to clean comes and is like, oh, Edward, you're a monster. Because they have, like, legends about blood-sucking demons and things. And so she comes and sees Bella and is like, oh, no. And Edward's like, do you know anything about this? And she goes up to Bella and, like, touches her stomach and just goes, death. And leaves. So then they decide they should probably leave their honeymoon, I guess. It has been 2 weeks. It's a long honeymoon. And they go fly back. She calls Charlie and tells him that she's sick. And he goes to go hang out with Billy, which is Jacob's dad. And Jacob comes home and is like, yeah, Bella is staying on honeymoon a little longer. She got a little sick. And Jacob immediately is like, oh no, that means she's turned into a vampire. And so he drives his motorcycle to the Cullens' house. And he finds out that Bella is there at their house. And he sees her. And she is very pregnant. Her belly is super big. She has been there for 2 weeks, is what we find out. So it's been, I guess, a month total since their wedding, and none of them know anything about it. They are like, we don't know, it's happening really rapidly, I don't know. And Jacob's like, okay, well, you should kill it, because it's killing her, because she does look really, 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 really sick. Like, sunken eyes, sunken cheeks, very thin. It's like the makeup department, A+. Y'all ran game on this episode. Y'all ran game on this movie. You did a really good job. Makeup department gets an A+. Maybe, yeah, makeup department, music director, A+. Everybody else, you probably did your best, honestly. You did your best. But, geez. So yeah, Jacob's like, okay, maybe don't have a baby because you are dying. And she's like, no, I wanna. Everybody is like, don't have this baby, you are dying. And Bella does not want to not have it. And it is her choice. But everyone is very pro-choice in this household. Edward talks to Jacob and is like, please talk to her like one-on-one because you have some connection that I don't understand. Maybe she'll listen to you. And he's like, she has literally never listened to me before, but okay, my guy, let's go. And he talks to her about it, and she's like, no, I just want to have the baby, so I'm going to have the baby. And he's like, well, that's bad, and it's killing you, and if it kills you, I'm killing everybody else. And he leaves, and he throws his motorcycle, he smashes it, and turns into a wolf and runs into the woods. And we get a scary thing that we have never had before, where we see all the wolves start to arrive, and we get like voiceover of all these people talking, which is the wolves, I guess. They're all talking, and it's hard to understand, and it's all reverberating, and it's very chaotic. Like, it is neat, like the way they have like made all of the audio very chaotic with very chaotic visuals to like give us that emotion. Good job there. They all get together and they have like a meeting, and they're all in their wolf forms, and so everything is voiceover, and everybody's voiceover is like through an Optimus Prime fucking voice modulator. They all sound robotic and weird and like overly aggressive. It sounds really bad. And Jacob tells them what has happened, that Bella is pregnant with a vampire baby, and Sam is like, alright, cool, we gotta kill it. We can't let that happen. It'll destroy the town. It'll be so bloodthirsty. It's a threat. We gotta get rid of it. And Jacob's like, no, you can't kill Bella. She's a human. And he's like, nah, I don't care. We're gonna kill her if we have to. And so Jacob leaves the pack. He runs away and leaves the pack. He won't bow down. And he leaves, and he goes back to the Cullens. And Seth has followed him. Sweet little Seth. And he's like, I left the pack too. So they're together, and that's very cute. And then Leah also, we find out, has left the pack. So they're a little 3-wolf trio. And Jacob goes to tell them about the wolves planning to attack them to get rid of the baby. And they're outnumbered, and the Cullens haven't fed in a long time, so they are not very strong right now. So it doesn't seem very good for them. But, you know, they gotta do what they gotta do, I suppose. So then we have Bella is getting worse. She's getting sicker and sicker. She like breaks a rib just by breathing at one point. And Jacob's with her, and he thinks to himself, because Edward can read his mind, that maybe the baby needs blood since it's a vampire. And nobody has thought about that. So Carlisle has a handy dandy bag of blood that he puts into a sippy cup. No, it's like a cup with a straw. And they give it to her, and she drinks the blood. And she says it tastes good, which is a very unnecessary line. It was gross. And she immediately starts to look and feel better. So she's drinking a bunch of blood, and we know this because Edward goes to like refill her cup, and he opens the trash can. It's just a pile of bags of blood. Carlisle is like, well, this is the last bag of blood, and so probably gotta get more blood. But also, hey Bella, if you like don't get this baby out of you, you're gonna die. Like, it's gonna kill you. Oh, that was before the whole blood drinking. So right before the blood drinking, Carlisle tells her that she's gonna die if they don't get the baby out of her, because it's killing her and there's no way to stop it. And she's like, well, you can just turn me, right? Like, we can do it until I'm about to die, and then you can just turn me. He's like, venom's not strong enough to be able to bring your body back. And so she's like, okay, well then I guess I'll just die. I'm gonna die for this baby. And Edward's mad at her for choosing the baby. She's like, well, you'll have the baby, and, you know, even if you don't have me. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna love that thing. But after she drinks blood and starts to feel better, Edward can hear the baby's thoughts and finds out that it's a nice person. So that he likes it. And so they're one little happy family now that he knows that it's a nice baby and not a bad baby. So that's great. But they're out of blood, and they also need to feed. So Carlisle talks to Jacob about like trying to figure out a way so that he, Esme, and Emmett can leave to go get more blood and to feed. And Jacob is like, okay, I have an idea. So he goes out to the forest, and he goes and talks to 4 of his old wolf boys, and is like, tell Sam that I'll be the one to kill the baby, like, since they trust me, like, as soon as it happens, like, I'll kill it. And it turns out he was just doing that as a distraction, to distract them, while they all left, right, to make it so there were less wolves chasing them. And so that pisses them off, and they run away. And they go and tell Sam, and so then Sam's mad. Emmett and Carlisle and Esme all get over, cross the river to go do their thing. And we get back into the house. Jacob goes and sees Bella, and she's like, I've come up with a couple ideas for baby names. If it's a boy, I'm going to name it EJ, Edward Jacob. Oh, God. God, it's so dumb. It is. It's like a 7-year-old playing house coming up with something like that. Oh, come on. You could have been more clever. But I guess not. And then if it's a girl, she's going to combine her mother's name with Edward's mother's name, and it'll be Renesmee. It's Renee and Esme. Renesmee. And I do enjoy that everyone looks at her like she's crazy, because it's a weird name. But then Edward's like, oh, it's beautiful. It's, like, unique, like our relationship. But after that cute little moment, immediately, Bella, like, tries to take a step, and her back breaks. And you watch as her spine just fucking folds in half the wrong way, and it's extremely disturbing. Then she falls, and you hear her knee shatter. All of the sound effects are horrifying. And her body just, like, collapses. And it's horrible. And then she's, like, on an operating table. And it's, like, from her perspective, kind of. You get to see her face. And then you're supposed to be, like, looking through her eyes, I guess. As they're like, we gotta get the baby out of her. And they just have... Oh, my gosh. This... I'm like shaking and uncomfortable remembering what this was. They like, I'm sorry, if you don't want to hear about the gore, please, like, pause now and tune back in, and I'll try and get this done within 60 seconds, all the nasty. So please pause now and skip ahead 60 seconds if you want to not hear about this nasty, awful scene. Okay. So they cut her stomach open, and there's blood everywhere, and you can see, like, her intestines, and she's, like, screaming, and then, Edward, then has to chew up her stomach, and I guess also her vagina. He, like, performs essentially like a weird, terrifying C-section with his mouth, and yeah, it's really horrendous. But they get the baby out of her. Yeah, they get the baby out of her. But what the fuck? Why did it have to be that way? Why did she write it like that? Stephenie Meyers, explain yourself. Because that was so scary. And they did it in a way so that they could keep it not rated R, but in the book, apparently, it is deeply rated R and gory and terrifying. I'm so sorry to anyone who has read that. Like, that did something to you, right? Like, because just watching the scene in the movie did something to me. It did. It was very, very disturbing and scary. But yeah, the baby is alive. But Bella dies because obviously they just, like, she's just, like, all open on this table with no medical attention. So, great. And Jacob is in the room while it's all happening and trying to help, and she dies. She, like, is non-responsive. Her eyes are open and she's not breathing anymore. And so Edward goes to the drawer and pulls out a massive syringe filled with some weird clear liquid, and he shoves it into her heart and pumps it into her heart, and it's his venom, which How do you get that? How did he get that in a syringe? Is it just like his spit? Is it just like I don't know. How do vampires work? You guys, in every single one of these, I'm gonna ask, how do these vampires work? They don't make sense. But anyway, okay, he like pumps his venom into her heart directly, and it does not work. Nothing is happening. And Jacob is like, I'm not gonna kill you, Edward. I'm gonna make you live your life with the knowledge that you murdered her. And he goes outside and is crying. One of the wolves in the pack sees that he's crying and is like, oh, that means Bella's dead. And so he goes back to the pack to report Bella's dead, and we see Sam coming out of Jacob's dad, Billy's house, and he's like, he's still my son, you can't do this. And so I'm assuming that means that Sam told him that he's going to murder Jacob, I guess, and the wolf is like, hey, yo, Bella's dead, time to go. And so the wolves go to attack the Cullen house, which now only has 3 people defending it. Yeah, because Rosalie has the baby and is taking care of the baby, and so it's Alice and Jasper and Edward on the front line, and each of them can only hold one wolf in their arms. But luckily the wolves attack one at a time. But just in the nick of time, Carlisle, well, not in the nick of time, Bella's dead, but Carlisle and Emmett and Esme show back up and they fight them. But yeah, in his desperation, Edward did like bite Bella all over her body, and that was really weird. I guess I kind of just like pushed that out of my memory because it was really uncomfortable to watch. But that happened because that's relevant after. So they fight the wolves and stuff, but Jacob's upset and is in the house still, and he's like, I'm gonna go kill this baby because it killed the love of my life, kind of. But she wasn't the love of my life, but like, you know, I'm mad. And so he goes up to where Rosalie is holding the baby. He looks into the baby's little CGI eyes, just the scariest face I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. He looks into the CGI baby's eyes, and we get a montage, you guys. We get a montage of Renesmee, like, growing up and, like, being in the woods and being a beautiful woman with a really bad wig on. And we get the voiceover of Jacob from New Moon talking about what it means to imprint. So, context clues to us mean Jacob is imprinting on Renesmee, the baby that was just born that he helped give birth to. He helped in that. Wow. So then, after he has done that, he runs outside and turns into a wolf and runs right up on Sam, who is also a wolf. And Edward says out loud that the battle is over because Jacob imprinted on Renesmee. And whoever a wolf imprints on can't be harmed. It's their most absolute law. So the fight is over, and the wolves leave. And Edward's face is not emoting enough for this moment, I think. He just found out his daughter, who is an infant, is the love of his enemy's life. I don't know. But anyway, see how complicated that is? His face didn't read that at all. It was pretty blank. But okay, so they're safe now. Then they go inside and they clean up Bella's pretty much dead body. I don't know, but we see like the inside of her veins. It's like a weird animation of the inside of her body. Why? And then we get a weird, say it with me everybody, montage of like various parts of her body being rebuilt and put back together and being covered in this like icy thing, which I guess is like vampire essence. I don't know. And we watch as like they put her in like a blue dress and just left her in the living room. I don't know where she is, but and we watch as like her skin changes color and her hair changes color to like a normal tone. And then when her ribs get fixed, we watch her chest like pop back up into shape, and that was really awful and shouldn't have been a thing I never wanted to see something like that, and I'm upset having seen it. And then yeah, so she's all like colored back up. And this is all happening with the montage. Yeah. And also in the montage is like all of the last 3 movies, like big moments from the last 3 movies. We also even get like Bella being a baby, like with Charlie and her mom way back when. For some reason. And there's like snow falling. There's like a filter of snow falling over everything, and then that turns into like blood. Ugh. And yeah, and then somehow the Venom gives her pretty gold eyeshadow on her eyelids and also put mascara and fake lashes on her, and it zooms into her eyes, and her eyes open and the pupils are red, and then it goes to black, and that's the end of the movie. So yeah, I have to like stretch. Yeah, so that was worse than New Moon. That was worse. It was worse. Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 25%. New Moon was a 28%. Here's the thing, I will give it did move a lot faster. It was not slow. It was not a slow movie. It barrels ahead. It moves so quickly. And yeah, okay, it makes sense that they are 2 parts, because for real, that was a lot of stuff that happened in the 1 part. Okay. But so yeah, it had a budget of $110 million. It made $712, and it is the second highest grossing movie in the franchise. So good for it. But it was awful, so at what cost, At literally that cost. I guess that is the literal cost of it being awful. It had a different fucking director from the last 3. They all have had different directors. This was directed by Bill Condor, who won an Academy Award for Adapted Screenplay for Gods and Monsters. He also was nominated for another Academy Award for the screenplay for Chicago, which is an amazing movie I love. And he directed the movie before this movie that he worked on. He directed Dreamgirls. He went from working with Beyonce in a movie to making Twilight. And it's literally the most unfathomable thing in my mind. How? Why? What happened to him? Why would you do this? But at least he is the director. He's also the director for part 2. So at least there's going to be some cohesion there. I don't want it. This was bad. I think he did a very bad job. But at least cohesion. We're going to have that for the first time in the series. But yeah, he was nominated for the Raspberry Award for Worst Director. He did win it for part 2, so I guess I'm looking forward to that. At this point, I know I'm going to do part 2 because this is it. This is it. This is the end of it, you know? I gotta see. I gotta get through it. Oh my gosh. How outrageous. How dare we? How dare we make this thing? Oh, my favorite thing from like critics I read about the movie, Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian gave the film 1 star out of a possible 5, and he referred to it as the next stage of an emo operetta that sweeps us away on a new riptide of mawkish euphoria. So that was really gorgeous. I guess I do appreciate it for giving us, you know, a comment like that. I like that. But yeah, do I relate to this movie? Oh, fuck no. Oh my fucking god. I hope not. And if you relate to this movie, let's chat. Let's chat. I need to know. I need to know what about it you relate to. And if you relate to this movie for a negative reason, I hope, you know, reach out for some help. If you need some assistance in that, I know a lot of people, you know, in the mental health industry. We can help get you some help. Because, geez Louise, what an awful, awful movie. I for real thought I wasn't going to see something worse than New Moon. It really, like, demolished me. But this broke down a part of me I didn't even know. I didn't even know I, like, could dislike something so much. I'm for real kind of in shock. Oh, wow. I'm so disappointed in, like, humanity, Loki. I'm like, wow, we are bad. We are bad. Yeah, sorry this is such a bummer. This one was tough. And my brain can't function anymore. I gotta stop. I gotta take a walk after this. It's raining. I don't even care. I gotta go walk in the rain for a little bit. But yeah. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate all of your support, and I hope that you never watch this movie, and I hope that I never have to see something like it again, even though I gotta watch part 2. I'm gonna watch part 2 in a few days. Gosh. Well, alright, pray for me. I've been your friendly neighborhood fat friend, Allie, and I will hopefully talk at you again next week. Bye!